Hi, everybody. It's Phil Turner, and I am very excited because I have an amazing guy for you to listen to. He's extraordinary, actually. I can only say extraordinary as in that throwaway comment kind of way because he is amazing, and I really would love you to listen to his story and what he's done because it is breathtaking. And he was when I first spoke to this guy. His name's Paul Harrison. It was always a pleasure and has been every single time I've spoken to him from them. And I'm sure once listening to him, you'll enjoy him as much as I do. So I would love to introduce you to Paul Harrison. Are you there?
Yes, I am, Phil. I am. Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. I guess I got something I've got to live up to now, then,
That's it.
yeah?
If it's not good, they're going to, well, what was awesome to have you here, mate. And I know you're so busy now, and I really do appreciate your time. So I think we should crack on, really. So I
Yeah, sure.
think if you can,
Hmm.
um, I said before this that we shouldn't do anything that we've written down or anything. We should just do it on the fly, which I think is great. So I think if you can just share a little bit about your background um, with everyone, that would be really cool. Just a quick blast, if you could.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm obviously South African originally. I've been in the UK for 13 years. Came here as a construction worker in nightclub doorman. Then basically, well, ended up working in the city for 9 years, and then retired from the city in what was it? It was 2008, and set up a trading portfolio and a company that trades with another company and teaches other people to trade as well. And then I also launched this product Mobivation, which is obviously where you come in, Phil. And yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Those are
Great,
the areas of focus.
brilliant. Okay, yeah, just give everyone a kind of idea of where you are, where you were, and what we're doing. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty then.
Okay.
So yeah, so a few months ago we kind of started with you. So really, I just want to say kind of because we're talking about Mobivation, and Mobivation is your company. So I think can you just briefly explain where you were first of all before we met with your company
Sure.
and how it
Sure.
became what it was?
Yeah, sure. In Motivation, basically, in a nutshell, it's text messages that are designed to help aspiring entrepreneurs, business owners, and investors keep their focus on what they've got to do on a regular basis to get to where they want to go. All right. Anybody who's made that shift from having a job to getting into a running their own business or trading the stock market or being property investors, you'll know it's never something that's very very easy, and there is a very high fallout rate in the actual training industry as well. But motivation text messages really designed to help people keep their focus on doing what they need to do every day to get to where they want to go. And the way it came about was actually it was absolutely crazy. I mean, I met four other guys at a stock market trading course. It was 5 years ago actually. We had our anniversary the beginning of November actually, and basically we decided that we were going to stick together and keep the support for each other whilst we are going through the learning curve. And what basically happened was we would meet on a monthly basis and really just get together and review our trading and our strategies and all that good stuff and keep a momentum high for each other. But what started happening was I was thinking about certain things, and I'd be doing some reading or I'd see things happen in life, and what I started doing was sending these guys text messages. It wasn't every day to begin with. It was maybe once or twice a week. But what started happening was, they started becoming more consistent, and just sending these text messages out to these guys saying, "Listen, guys, just this is to keep the focus, and just keep that momentum high whilst we're going through this learning curve." And what happened from there was, it started off with the five of us sending and getting the text messages, and then what we had a little bit more of a knock-on effect because more and more people started asking, "Listen, can you send this to my friend or my partner or what have you?" And basically, in the space of about 6 or 7 months, I think it grew to from four people receiving it to about 76 people worldwide. And it was these text messages were really they were they were costing me £250 a month to actually send these things out. Sending all over the world, and the kind of feedback and the kind of response that we were getting became so powerful that really I thought, if we're having this kind of response and feedback, I need to take this to a wider audience. Okay, I need to be able to really reach out to a bigger number of people to be able to support them and what they're going through on their daily with their daily challenges and what have you. And the only way I can do that really is if I put some kind of corporate structure, some kind of business structure around it, where actually it's not going to be very expensive, but at least then it will pay for itself, and I can at least reach and serve a lot more people. And so I put together I'd spoken with a few people, and we had a very, very sort of very primitive website initially. And then we had another primitive website and another primitive one after that as well. But basically at the beginning of this year, 2011, I said, we're going to have to take this to a proper level now. I've got the other businesses running at a pretty good level. But really, we have such brilliant retention rates with Mobivation. The clients are clients for years. I really need to be able to get out and market this in a good manner, and really to be able to reach a lot more people. And from there, I got Lisa Arthur was telling me about yourself, and that's when I decided, well, okay, we're going to do something here. We're going to make it happen. And that's when you and I started talking and started pushing it forward and taking it from there.
Okay, brilliant. Great story. I love the story. I think this is business as well for me, where, Richard Branson is not selling records out the back of his car anymore, is he?
No. No.
But that's what he started with, and that's what he learned, loads of stuff about and how it all works. And I just love the way that you started sending texts and people got it,
Yeah.
just so cool. And then you think, well, actually, this is too cool. We should do something with this because it works. So
Yeah.
I think I love organic business growth. Right? I think some people start so hard pushing for something to grow, and it doesn't. And some of the loveliest businesses I've seen just grow very simply organic, and then they realise that, wow, this is it. And I think it's much more exciting that way.
I couldn't agree with you more, Phil. And the thing was, the thing for me is it's never really been about making huge amounts of money and stuff. It's about being able to help and serve other people. And the way that I basically the way that I used my motivation to do this was that, if I'm not putting some kind of business entity around this, that would mean then I can't reach people that I need to reach. And that was a huge motivating factor for me, because if I know there's people out there that could really benefit from the service, and I'm not doing what I've got to do to get the message out there, then I'm letting those people down, and that goes against pretty much all of my core beliefs and my core focuses as well, So that was a massive motivation for me, and it continues to be as we take this forward. And obviously with what things that have happened recently, it's just, I think when you're driven by a bigger purpose than money, it's something that is incredibly powerful. It really is.
And I see this with the successful people that really do have a long business. Something that's not just now for the cash. It's something that will happen over and over again. Is that okay? We all need money. We all need to get paid. I understand that, and everyone does it probably initially for money anyway. But the thing is that really the only way to build a steady long-term business is to help people. It's it. That's
Exactly.
That's it. If you're thinking about anything else apart from that, you got it wrong. It's not going to work.
Exactly. You've got to be looking to serve as that's part of that. That's the purpose. If you get the process right, if you serve people with something that you love doing, you will never be out of money. You will always be wealthy, because there's
money will find you. The money.
Yeah, exactly.
It can't help but find you.
Exactly. And but you got to focus on the service you provide, and making sure that it's always evolving, it's always developing, and it's always. We've got pretty much a way of thinking that within Mobivation is that any contact we have with anybody else, we have to be catalysts for them to leave our company in a better frame of mind than when they came into it. So it was something actually devised working at the nightclubs where you've got maybe a window of 3 seconds to allow somebody to feel better about themselves and when they came into your company. So even if it's like a touch on the shoulder or a welcome, or if you remember their name or something, and that really is filtered through to our text messages, where the sole focus of what we do is to ensure that people are on the front foot after they receive one of those text messages. They are moving forward, and if I can continuously do that every single day to help, to keep those people moving forward just an inch every day, where they get to in a month, a month or a year or 10 years is absolutely mind blowing. And we're seeing it with so many of our clients now. I'm so proud of these kids, or these guys and girls, and everybody who's working towards things now. I really am. It's phenomenal.
It's brilliant. Okay, so let's, it's an amazing story, and I just really love your story. So that's where you were. Okay, so let's talk about your website before we started. So,
yeah, you really want to embarrass me, don't you? Yeah, it was. To say it looked Neanderthal was probably an understatement. It had a picture of me that I took myself. It was a one-page of copy with basically like a click, sort of like a payment link that you could follow. But it was just basically a photo of me and then sales copy, and then basically just like click this link and you can go through to a payment gateway. It was not nice at all. I was very proud of it when it came up, but when I started having a look at what other people were doing, I was a little bit ashamed of directing people to my website.
That's a very good point. I tell you what, that's a very, very good point there. And I think this is what I find with many of my students as well. It's not because it's a bad website. It's because I think there's something in your mind, even when you speak to people, that you kind of meander around the question of what's your website, or where do I go to find out about you. And it's really important now. You need it, don't you?
You completely, you do, definitely, and you only start realizing it when you get some kind of degree of comparison. When you're starting to see what other people have got there. And their thinking behind their website as well, which was really something that struck me when I started working with you.
Great. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how technical would you say you were when you?
I would say probably I would be patting myself on the back if I had a 3 out of 10.
I think every question I ask you, you burst into laughter. So I'm definitely asking the right questions.
Well, yeah, it just the reason I burst into laughter was because I remember the one time when you'd asked me to do something. I forget what it was. I think it was do something like put LastPass onto my my desktop, or onto my computer, or whatever you call that thing. And you Skyped me about 10 minutes later saying I can hear the swearing from here. But yeah.
Like you're 3 counties away or whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. No, I wasn't technical at all. Not at all.
Well, I think this is, the thing about you. You talk about self-development, and you tell everyone how what to do, and then suddenly it's your go. It's Paul Harrison's go to self-develop himself on technical stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about you as well. Is like, you gotta do it yourself. It's like me when people say, I teach people to be not scared of this stuff and go out and do it. And then when you get a challenge, you go, oh God, I've got to do it anyway, haven't I?
Exactly. And
got no
that was the thing.
Yeah. So I think all credit to you. You took it on, and I didn't allow you not to do it. And I think you could have done easily. You could have chosen the easy path, which is get a website done for you and do all that stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's not going to get you the technical skills to do it again and to learn enough to do it.
Yeah, I think, as you said as well, it's once you have a skill set and you know what's expected, then you have the option at least of outsourcing it if you need to. But until you know what's required, it's going to be a tough situation to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I see it so many times, and I know many people that pay lots of money for people to do stuff, and then 6 months down the line, pay for someone else to do the same thing again.
Exactly. And that's quite frankly that was the loop I was in before you and I sat down and spoke about what we were going to do and how we were going to take this forward.
Yeah.
I'd had the website. The website had actually been built 3 times, I think, by 3 different guys, and
Wow.
all 3 of which just were, they had ideas. I'm sure they had ideas, but they had no idea on how to market or how to build a website that you could then use to market. Which is it's a very, very different entity.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think for me, with students like you, it's really important for. Uh, I look at it as everything today is throwaway. Your website won't be the same in 2 years, 6 months. Sometimes it changes all the time.
Yeah.
So there's no point spending money on things. Spend money on the training, and then you can either know enough to get the right thing next time, or do it yourself.
Yep, exactly. I could not say that well enough. That's right on it. Because if you can invest in yourself and your own education on that, then at least you're in a position where you can make an informed decision. Otherwise, you're doing the same thing time and time again, and we all know what happens if you do that. You get the same outcome.
Exactly. Cool. Okay. So we started working together. So what were your struggles first of all, Paul?
As far as us working together, I think what I can be very. I mean, I think naturally I'm quite driven, but also I can be quite bullheaded sometimes. It's
Yep.
it's basically it's what I want to focus on is what I want to focus on. And I remember you saying something in hindsight now that obviously has been has made a lot of money for us and done very well for us, but it's really the not just the text messages, because I wanted the text messages just to be the main focus, but and I mean it has been largely, but also what has come off the back of it is you're talking about the back end sales and things like the coaching, the speaking facilities, the business coaching as well. These are all things that really you identified, and I quite honestly, I mean this as well. I told you I wasn't overly keen on that. As crazy as that sounds now, I wasn't overly keen on that to start with. And it's mad to sort of hear that kind of thing, but that was what I battled with initially. But I think, Phil, where you were very, very, very good with there, I mean, if as far as your understanding of how your clients think and the personality types they have and what have you, I think if you had been anybody else, we could have had a pretty heavy debate about it. But with you just having the faith just to say it and then basically just let me sit with it, that was very powerful, because obviously you came to the conclusion at a late time that obviously it was the way forward, and it's generating a lot of money for us now on a monthly basis.
Well, I remember, obviously, you see, businesses are called babies, but for a reason. They're not called children or, you know, um, lovers or anything like that. They're called babies because
Yeah,
you've born this thing. This thing is born to you. It's your child. It's your baby, and
yeah,
especially with people that like you have started this thing, especially organically,
yeah,
when it's come from someone it's so delicate and so close to your heart that
yeah.
I do understand why you don't want to mess with that. You don't want to, poke it in product and try and get it somewhere else. I do understand that.
Well, I think that's a huge skill set for things you do in the coaching and the mentoring that you do. I think that would certainly put you apart from a lot of other people out there that could maybe try to claim to do the same thing as what you do. But I think that interpersonal understanding that you have is that's a real unique selling point for you.
I appreciate that. So I totally understood from where you were, and there would be loads of ways of you using what you got to get more business, and I totally got why you don't want to mess with that. And
Yeah,
it's very special what you have. It's a very unique, amazing business, and um, you know it 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 doesn't need to be messed around with. Okay.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's why I could feel that the power and the drive from you, how close you were to that business, and why it was was going to grow and grow and grow. It's just really amazing. So I think that's really clear for some people, because I see, and I've done it myself in, previous businesses where you keep doing the same thing with the same tools and the same business, and you get the same results. And
Exactly.
you're just trying to make it bigger,
Yeah.
but not grow the profit.
Yeah.
So interesting, very
Mm.
interesting. Okay, so so that was your challenge first of all.
That was the initial challenge I think I had. I mean, there was a fair few challenges out there, but I think the mindset and then obviously the technical development that I had to go through as well was a challenge. Um, I think though, before we started working together, and even now, I think to a degree, what is an interest, when you've got a unique and interesting sort of product like this, a lot of the time there's not already a created demand. So there is not already a perceived demand in the market for what you have.
Yep.
Because it's so unique, you have no competition, but where there's no competition, there is no current demand. Okay,
Yeah.
if there's demand in the market, you guarantee that you're going to have lots and lots of competition. So there's pros and cons on both sides. But what I found, and subsequently from the work we did together, and obviously what's starting to happen now, is that you need to educate people first into why there is a need, and from there you can start then catering for that need. Because you think about it. I mean, Phil, you're a successful guy, and the funny thing is, the vast majority of my people on my database are successful people. These are people who don't, by society's uh, sort of yardstick. These are not people you would think need motivation. And the thing is, but the most successful people understand that you do, and creating that kind of understanding and bridging the gap between somebody desiring to make a big change and then actually getting to where they have made the change. That is, that's a huge area that you've got to be able to go through. And we're starting now to sort of see that demand, the understanding of the demand, and obviously now, solving the challenges that a lot of people are facing when they're trying to make these long-term personal changes.
Cool. Cool. So I think so through what we did, and I don't want to go too in depth into it. We built you a presence. We positioned you, didn't we?
Yep.
We cleaned up what you had, and um, I think the thing I enjoy doing with business is making it simple. That's
Yes.
I
Yep.
think it's, and your business before I think was simple, but it was the simple process to make more cash was the interesting part.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
you got the main business, and that's going to grow. God, we know that. You can see that and feel that now. But
Yep.
the extra bits were the key thing. So I'm really pleased that it all happened. So I think now really is to say what where you are now after all that. So
Well, this is, I mean, it's all about, I think for us, it's all about living in the present and the future. It's where we're at right now, Phil, is we're absolutely flying. I mean, you, initially I was quite taken aback when I got an email notification come through that the South African Business Club had put me forward to the Chamber of Commerce, um, as a nominee for the Business Innovation of the Year, as far as Mobivation goes. So what happened was we'd actually been nominated to the Chamber of Commerce as the Business Innovation of the Year, which I was blown away by. But it turns out it was one of our old clients who nominated us, and of course I saw this as an opportunity, and anytime I see an opportunity, I'm gonna smash straight through it. I'm gonna get after as much as I can. So there was a few additional nominations that came through, and we were up against a guy who was a top a marketing guru who'd had some heavy presence with South African and international beauty models, and he'd done sort of some innovative stuff to help them with their careers. And then another woman who'd really taken a very innovative approach on wine tastings and things like that from a commercial point of view. So very, very, very tough competition. But the feedback that the support and the feedback we receive from our clients, and the business case we've been able to put together from a commercial point of view. When we're working with companies that have got membership groups, which is another aspect now that we have for Mobivation. Uh, we won 68% of the public vote, which
Wow.
counted to an ultimate 30% of the total vote, and then the remaining 70%, sorry, of the decision went to a panel of judges, and I've received it on some very, very good authority that we actually won on a unanimous decision. So Mobivation this year for 2011 is the Business Innovation of the Year, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. If you have a dream and something that is just so out there, but you believe it can work, and you have the guts and the balls to follow it and actually make it happen. There's you push so hard against life sometimes just to try and get what you want to achieve and what you believe can really work. But when you keep walking through that door, other things just start opening up, and it is crazy, Phil. It is absolutely crazy now how things are taking off with regards to, the last 3 days. I've had conversations with three different people who want to roll Mobivation out as a wholesale product to circa maybe 7,500 people
Wow.
nationwide. So they want to make it part of their membership packages, going out to this number of people, and that is just incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Um, and it's the impact that it's having on people. And you have a look at the testimonials and the things that people wrote uh, in the actual the public vote. There's no ways. I mean, my competition were a lot more established. They've got higher profile, I guess, people on their books, but also what they're involved with is they're involved very heavily with corporate business, which I thought was going to be a major challenge because obviously, coming from the seminar and training industries, it's not really, I don't know if maybe I'm being a bit hard on the industry, but it's not really seen as like a commercial, big global commercial business. So I thought I was going to have a bit of a disadvantage there, but after seeing what people had written on the public vote, and then just the people we're affecting, it was just phenomenal to get that kind of feedback, and to actually win unanimously was second to none. It really was.
I just remember one of the things that we worked on way back as well for you, and one of the things I really highlighted for you was that you really do appreciate the feedback, and I know everyone does, but I
Mm,
think I think for you, you are that guy that sends so much stuff out and affects so many people, and I always believed that you needed it back as well, and we worked on that, and I remember,
yep,
and
yep.
I see your Facebook comments now. It's like endless. There's like 60 comments, 70 comments. You're getting
Madness, eh?
so much traction on the position that we did, and now I just see what you can do. It's just tremendous,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I remember actually that guidance you gave me was to read that book, The Go Giver, and it was all about that being allowing that stuff to come back. And you were right, Phil. Again, you were right. I boff my cap to you, sir.
Well, this is the thing that you see with people when they're really really focused on giving is they don't allow themselves to receive.
Yeah,
I see it a lot of times actually, and you think, wow, that's crazy, but it's true. You gotta allow yourself to have it back, and I think you so deserve it from what you've done and what I remember I see these emails flying from what's happening, and you went to the O2 as well, didn't you? And
yes, the O2 with one of the charities we sponsor. Actually, there's a group called Young Stars, which is it's an enterprise group based out of Newham, and Newham's a little bit of an inner city area where there's a pretty big gang problem. But the Young Stars are a group that have come together and basically denounced gang violence, and they're basically trying to make the streets safer, but they're wanting to do it through business and through basically creating their own ultimate outcomes. Not being affected by the negativity that's happening out there. And I was introduced to this by a very just a random connection, and from there, this whole social enterprise side has just taken off now as well because we sponsor these youngsters. I'm also doing some of the brand management for their charity, so we're getting corporate sponsors on board. But to see these youngsters, just such incredible people, and being backstage with them at the O2 as one of their sponsors, and seeing them on stage, and just being able to provide that kind of and the feedback they gave me as far as getting the text messages and how it keeps them focused, because you can imagine these youngsters are dealing with crime and gangsterism on a daily basis, if not at school then on the way home, and it's just like what they said to me was like how it keeps our focus on what we ultimately want to do. And that's the key. I think that is the key to what Mobivation can do. Obviously, the structure we have and the sort of the industry secrets that we have about how we put that structure together is one thing. But if I can help people keep their focus on what they've got to do, they'll get to where they want to go. There was I heard a guy say make a comment the other day that if you break someone's focus, you can break that person. But the other side of it is if I can help somebody keep their focus and really support them, and let them see their own victories, then you build all kinds of momentum around these people, and it's such a payback for me when I see people being successful. I mean, I'm not talking financial here. I'm talking about basically just people making those progresses from, be it somebody who's just started trading the stock market to getting to a position where they've done their first 5 or 6% in that month, or somebody who really is starting to believe that they have self-esteem, or understand they have self-esteem, and that they can do something, they can aspire to something bigger. That is absolutely key for me. And at the O2, I mean, Cat Stevens was there, and Jeremy Gilly. I was introduced to him, and he's behind this whole Peace One Day thing, and it's just it's phenomenal. I just don't have words for the knock-on effects and the knock-on effects and the knock-on effects of what this is happening, or what is happening now, really. And I mean, as far as then my profile increasing, and I was asked to MC for a guy called Barry Hilton, who's equivalently the sort of South African equivalent of Michael McIntyre, and MCing for him at one of the events, and then doing the speaking role. I remember that one week. I mean, it was the Tuesday night I had the speaking role, the first speaking engagement for Mobivation, where I converted 40% of the room to Mobivation, after presenting. And then the Wednesday night I was on stage with the O2 with the young stars. And then the Thursday night I was at the Clapham Grand with Barry Hilton. So it's all this additional stuff. And I think people, a lot of the time when you set out for this goal, you're setting out to achieve the goal, but you don't realize the other things, the other doors that start opening. And that is incredible. It really, really is incredible when you start seeing these other opportunities opening up, and when you have the conviction, the courage, your convictions to actually step through those half doors, those half opportunities. And when you do that, you just get so much back. It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Brilliant. And I remember us talking about speaking as well. I remember that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. That was another place that you really helped me, Phil. Yeah,
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, yeah. I just think it's, you know, I knew it was going to be a good product. I knew it was a good product, and I knew from the people that I had heard from you about, Lisa, etc.
yeah.
That it was a good product. You're doing well, but from what you were doing and what you're doing now is just unbelievable.
But you see,
Unbelievable.
Phil, this is where again having like you as a mentor at that time was invaluable, because you remember that conversation, man. I mean, in all honesty, I still had issues regarding myself, as far as getting up and speaking to other people. I mean, we had that conversation. I said to I still have, there's things like I mean, I still see myself as the little fat kid from Somerset West. It's like I think we all have these limiting beliefs in us, and I'm talking to people about breaking their limiting beliefs, but then it gets to a stage where it's like, okay, now it's your time to man up. It's time to do this. And I think just from having your guidance, and also your conviction that it would be successful, I'd be successful at what I did. I mean, we're all looking to hear that kind of thing from somebody in a position that we aspire to be in. And that was what gave me the courage to say, okay, I'm going to do this. And I made that decision. And I remember, even with the work I do with Investment Mastery, I said to them, guys, I've made the decision. I'm going to be speaking in the next 2 years. I want to be in the top 5 speakers in the UK. But just from making that decision, and when you make that kind of decision, there's no way back. So it was just really make.
I want to be the 100th.
Sorry.
It's not like you wanted to be the 100th.
No, no, I want to be in the top 5. Well, actually, I said I wanted to be the best, but I didn't want to seem overconfident for the people that are listening to this interview. But no, it's having that, it's basically being able to make that decision. But in order to make that decision, you have to have somebody who you feel believes in you, and also somebody who is a little bit further down that road than you are, because then you've got that social proof, and I think again that's really what you bring to the table. You're doing really, really, really well, but you've covered so much ground in such a short amount of time that it's not like you're out of reach of people who are aspiring to be in a similar position to what you are. And I think a lot of people forget that sometimes. I think there's a lot of people who put themselves out there as gurus, but they are not in contact. They're not in touch with people who want to move forward like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a phrase when I started doing this. There's a phrase that always came out, and I was quite, because it was people do things for money first of all, and I got into this for the money. Yeah?
Yeah.
I got into this because it was a job. It was the thing that I wanted to do for money. Yeah, it was my next job. It wasn't like you. It wasn't an organic big business. I wanted to go into that to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But within 2 months, there was a phrase that came out more than anything else, which said, "It's all about the people."
Yeah.
And the money vision was still, there's still, we do things for money. We have to do things for money. That's what we do. But as soon as I realised it was about the people, that's when it worked.
Yeah.
I
think that's what it's got to be your focus. You've got to, again, you've got to be able to focus on adding value to somebody's life or somebody's situation. And if you can do that, if that's your sole focus, they will have no problem in paying you the money that you're after. Yeah. Another thing as well, I write for the South African newspaper, the business section for the South African newspaper, and I wrote this comment about basically this article about people, your clients saying to you, "Why did you undercharge me?" Not why did you overcharge me, why did you undercharge me? And the thing is, what I was getting at there is when you provide massive value, you will never ever have a problem of getting people to pay you what you're worth. But as long as you're providing that massive value, they can't argue with you. They really cannot argue with you when you're providing that kind of value and being able to help them achieve the outcomes they're after.
Yeah, true. Wow. Well, I don't know what else to say, really, but you blow me away, as always, and I'm very proud to be a customer of yours, as you've been a customer of mine as well. So that's...
Likewise.
Very, I can and totally, utterly recommend Mobivation 100%. I have no doubt that anyone listening to this will be able to gain massive benefits from using it. So go to Mobivation.com now and go and get that.
And I've just got to re-echo that, Phil, as far as like, if there's anybody listening to this who's even considering using Phil's direction or mentorship or anything like that, guys, listen, it took me 7-8 months to go from having a new concept, a new idea, and basically being able to put it onto a website under Phil's guidance to get to a position where we won Business Innovation of the Year. That doesn't happen in that kind of time frame. Okay, the only reason I was able to do that was under Phil's guidance. Okay, and I mean, Phil knows what he's talking about, but also he's a human, and he can get the best out of you as well. If he can do that to help me, he can do it to help anybody there. Just make a decision and go for it. Just follow your gut and go out and do it, man. That's all that's important. Just get the result.
Thank you, Paul.
No worries, Phil.
Well, thank you. Well, it's been. I think we should stop there. We've been going for a little while now, and I think we've covered loads of stuff. And I really want to thank you for your time. And I know, my word, you must be busy now. And I see the stuff flying on Facebook around what you're doing, and it's just blows my mind.
This from Turbo Turner.
I